Welcome back to Amerisogyny. I'm your host, Hannah Blue. You're listening to episode 65. I'm with her. We're talking about female empowerment in 2024. Now, I didn't release an episode last week because I am working on a very big project for my company, 21 Blue Lash. And it takes a lot of my time. But I'm not complaining because I could not be prouder of this project. I only hope it will be well received and that it will inspire hope. I'm a very good writer, but I don't draw very well. And that has held us back. When I say us, I mean 21 Blue Lash. That has held us back for at least a year and a half. Because the ideas in my head, some artists have tried, but they just couldn't get it right. And it's not their fault because some of the ideas, well, all of the ideas in my head have never been seen before. My ideas are a bit unorthodox and outside of the box, and that's the way I've always been. But I finally found a way to get the ideas out of my head and into a tangible form. But preparation also means protecting your product. I firmly believe in trademarks and copyrights because let me tell you, we are living in an age where very few invent things on their own. They're taking shortcuts, they're taking the easy way out, meaning writing. They're stealing other people's content. And make no mistake, if you have good content, somebody's gonna steal it, put their name on it, go viral, and make lots of money. It's been done time and time again. And I'm going to make sure it does not happen to me or my company, 21 Blue Lash. So I'm taking my time. I'm making sure once this project drops, it's going to be protected because I'm working too damn hard on it to let somebody steal it. Now that's that. A lot has happened since my last episode dropped. And by now, everybody around the world knows President Joe Biden has dropped out of the race against Donald Trump, and he has nominated Kamala Harris. Now, in my last episode, I said America would burn itself to the ground before it elected a black woman. Well, I'm going to have to scale that back a little bit because America, half of us, have showed up and showed out and showed support for Vice President Harris, and I couldn't be happier. Let me tell you what you already know if you've been listening to me for a while, listeners. My vote is with Kamala Harris. I am with her. I am with every woman who stands to make a difference in the lives of others. Number one on the ballot is abortion rights. I would vote for a 9-legged dog before I voted for Trump. But anybody who thinks the government has the right to tell women what to do with their bodies, I am not going to vote in that person as my president. Women should have the right to decide if and when they want to have an abortion. Period. We do not need our government here in the U.S. telling us how to regulate our bodies. That, ladies, is a no-brainer. And that's not the only issue on the table. We, for the second time in history, now have the opportunity to have a female president. Do you know how monumental that could be for us, ladies? For years, we have heard men say, we are the weaker sex. We're too emotional. We're not strong enough. Listen, women can do anything we set our minds to, and that includes being the president of the United States of America. So I am hoping and praying that we get it together as a country and defeat Trump and all of his supporters because we cannot allow this man back into the Oval Office. He wants to use it as a source of power and retribution to punish his enemies, and that is not what being president is all about. He is racist, he is homophobic, and he is also a rapist. Jean Carroll took him to court and won $83.3 million. Why? Because a jury believed he's a rapist. That man is evil. And that's all I'm going to say on that subject because we have a show to do. This is about women's empowerment. And I'm going to talk about some ladies in the U.S. and in Venezuela. I think these ladies are very brave, and I have a lot of respect for both of them. Now, a faithful listener sent me an email and said that they really liked my food episode, and it really helped their mental health. So I said, okay. For my next episode, I'll be sure to include some recipes, and that's what I've done. I'm going to be providing some healthy recipes because in addition to my project that I've been working on, I have also began strength training. And I found a wonderful bodybuilder on YouTube. Her name is Melissa Neal. And she works with women who are going through perimenopause and menopause. And she helps them with diet and exercise. And I mean, some of her recipes, I'm going to tell you, they're fire. Her workouts are phenomenal. And she's the real deal. In a week and a half, I lost 4 pounds. This is after being in a plateau for a year, you guys. So yeah, Melissa Neal is where it's at. And I'm going to share her magic with you today. But let's get ready for our first stop. Texas, USA. Abortion is the number one topic for me in regards to the presidential election. We are in the very heart of Amerisogyny. That's misogyny in America, but it also can mean misogyny anywhere in the world. In this country, women have been locked up for getting an abortion, and as a result, their civil rights were violated. Well, one Texas woman has decided to file a lawsuit because she was locked up on a murder charge after having an abortion, and a judge has ruled that she can go ahead with her lawsuit. Her name is Lizelle Gonzalez, and she was placed in jail and charged with murder after having an abortion in 2022. Now, Texas is one of the states in the U.S. that has banned abortion, but under Texas law, women who want to have an abortion are exempt from criminal charges. That didn't stop them from locking up Miss Gonzalez, who spent 2 nights in jail. She is now seeking $1 million in damages. Now, the Starr County District Attorney tried to get out of it. He tried to argue his position provided him with immunity from civil lawsuits. Well, the judge said, not today, Satan. His name is Goka Ramirez, and he told the media that he made a mistake in bringing charges against Miss Gonzalez. Well, that mistake might cost him, and it should. Judge Tipton asked Miss Gonzalez's attorneys if they could prove the prosecutors knew of the exception. David Donati is an attorney that's representing Miss Gonzalez, and he said, what we intend to show is that negligence doesn't explain this oversight. It is the role and function of prosecutors to be aware of the elements of the statutes they are charging. And that's true. Gonzalez was indicted in 2022 after she took an abortion pill while 19 weeks pregnant. She was treated at a Texas hospital. In her lawsuit, Ms. Gonzalez claims the hospital staff violated patient privacy rights when they reported the abortion, and her complaint alleges the sheriff's office interviewed her and arrested her under direction from the prosecutors. But the charges were dropped days after she was arrested. In February, Ramirez agreed to pay a $1,250 fine due to a settlement reached with the State Bar of Texas. He also agreed to have his license held in a probated suspension for 12 months. Wow, it looks as if Miss Gonzalez is going to get her money, and I'm rooting for her all the way. That's what women in the U.S. are forced to do now. Stand up for their right to make decisions about their own bodies. And if Trump gets selected, it's going to be even worse for us ladies. I applaud you, Miss Gonzalez, and I hope you get your money. Now, as promised, here are some yummy recipes if you're trying to get fit or maintain your weight. And I have to admit, I am bringing you the best of the best because I am someone who loves food. My tastes have changed over the years, and I'll admit I have not always liked eating healthy because it seems like a punishment. But I'm going to share with you what I learned. Eating healthy does not have to be boring or unappealing. Hummus deviled eggs. 8 large eggs, a half a cup of hummus of your choice, a 4th cup of mayonnaise of your choice, but I will tell you, I like Hellmann's or Duke's, nothing else. 1 teaspoon of fresh lemon juice. If you want, you can have toasted sesame seeds for garnish, but you don't have to. Salt and a little cayenne pepper. Now, you're going to boil the eggs. I boil mine for about 14 minutes. Cover the saucepan, remove them from the heat, and let them stand for 12 minutes. Then you're going to drain the eggs and crack the shells. Fill the pan with cold water and add ice cubes. Let the eggs stand until they're cold. This makes peeling the eggs easier. So after you peel them, pat them dry and cut them in half lengthwise. Scoop the yolks into a bowl, add hummus, mayonnaise, lemon juice, and mash them finely with a fork. Add the salt and cayenne pepper, and you can pipe or spoon the filling into the egg white halves. And then garnish with sesame seeds or not. Either way, these are some of the best deviled eggs I have ever had. Plus, ladies, when you're trying to lose weight, protein is important when you're weightlifting. So if you're struggling to get 150 to 200 grams of protein a day, definitely add eggs to your menu. Eggs are a wonderful source of protein. Next up is a recipe I got from Melissa Neal. Now, this was found totally by accident. I love ice cream, but it's one of the things that I had to give up because it's high in fat, and for me, it's inflammatory. As we get older, inflammation becomes our enemy, ladies, and we have to do what we can to avoid it. The Mediterranean diet is really not a diet, but it is a list of foods that are non-inflammatory. I call this high-protein ice cream. Here's the recipe. It's 3 ingredients. 1 cup of frozen blueberries or strawberries, any plant-based milk of your choice, coconut, almond, or oat, but I gotta tell you, coconut milk is my go-to. It's creamy, and no matter what I put it on, be it my oatmeal or in this recipe, it is absolutely delicious. The 3rd ingredient you're going to need is 2 scoops of protein powder. Now, I use Premier, the vanilla, and the chocolate. For this recipe, the vanilla works best for me. So what you're going to do is place your frozen fruit into a blender, add 2 scoops of the protein powder, and here's where you want to eyeball your plant milk, because if you put in too much, it's going to be too runny like a smoothie. I say do maybe 3 tablespoons at a time until you get the right consistency. And when you do, it will be the consistency of ice cream. And I'm telling you, this is the best alternative to full fat ice cream I have ever tasted. And I found it on her YouTube channel. She's also on TikTok, but you guys know I don't watch TikTok. My next recipe, grilled chicken salad. Now, I don't know too many people who don't know how to make a chicken salad, but here's the thing. Chicken breasts can be so dry, and I don't know about you, but I hate dry chicken breasts. Now, my sister, she loves dry chicken. Me, it has to be juicy. So let me give you 2 tips to help you get the juiciest, tastiest chicken breasts. Take 3 to 4 large chicken breasts. You can split them in half or not, but I found it's easier to split them in half, to tenderize them, and to let the marinade really get inside the chicken. Marinate the chicken breasts in a half cup of Olive Garden's Italian dressing, 1 packet of ranch seasoning. I use Food Lion, but if you want to use Hidden Valley Ranch, you can. And 1 jalapeno pepper seeded. Now, if you like it spicy, keep the seeds in, but for me, I take them out. Marinate the breasts for at least 2 hours, but in my opinion, they're even better if you do it overnight. Take them out the next day, grill them up, and put them over a nice bed of salad greens, butter, romaine, or iceberg lettuce, whatever you like. Toss in some tomatoes and cucumbers. One good thing about North Carolina, I will say, they have some bomb homegrown produce. I love the pickling cucumbers, and I love tomatoes when they're half red, half green, and they snap when you cut them. Oh my God, they're so good, guys. Throw those in your salad along with some carrots, beets, mushrooms, peppers, any veggies you like. Now, don't go putting oxtails or slabs of ham in your salads thinking you're going to lose weight, ladies. The chicken is your protein. Arrange the grilled chicken on top of your veggies. And I top mine with a homemade honey mustard vinaigrette. I eyeball the ingredients until it tastes right to me. And that's the great thing about vinaigrette. You can mix and measure until your taste buds are happy with it. And where can you find a good honey mustard vinaigrette? Google, of course. Type in Mediterranean diet honey mustard vinaigrette and you'll find some good recipes. Now for our last healthy recipe, honey orange glazed sweet potatoes. Another thing I love about the Mediterranean diet, you don't have to give up anything. You can eat everything. I don't like diet plans that exclude things. I think we need to eat all fruit and all vegetables. And this gives you the flexibility to do it. So what you're going to do is take about 3 to 4 sweet potatoes, cut them up into cubes, arrange them on a baking sheet, and toss them with a couple tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Bake for about 35 minutes until they are tender but firm. Then you're going to mix a 1/4 cup of honey, raw honey is the best, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of nutmeg, and the juice of 1 large orange or 3 clementines. Pour the glaze over the sweet potatoes, then put them back in the oven for 10 minutes. And serve. When I tell you, you do not have to be miserable to eat healthy, believe it. All of these recipes have kept me on point with weightlifting and my weight loss goals. So if you try any of these, let me know if you like them. Okay, now we're done with our healthy recipes. On to our next and final stop, Venezuela. This next woman is called the Iron Lady of Venezuela. And I gotta tell you, listeners, I like her style. She is Maria Corina Machado. Venezuela has an upcoming election on July 28th, and Ms. Machado is inspiring voters to make change. Now get this. This woman had 2 million votes to run against the current president, Nicolas Maduro. But Venezuela's top court upheld a ban on Machado that prevented her from running. Now, if that isn't Amerisogyny, you tell me what is. But Ms. Machado isn't to be stopped. She turned those Venezuelan lemons into lemonade, because now she is campaigning for her replacement, former Ambassador Edmundo Gonzalez. And oh yeah, she's popular. Thousands of people come out to see this woman. What's important to Machado and Gonzalez? Ending economic struggle and the mass exodus of desperate migrants. Machado and Gonzalez share a passion to reunite families. Darwin Mendoza is a 27-year-old delivery driver, and he says, when there is a rally, what I see is joy, excitement, because the crowd hopes the country will change. Now, Machado has haters. What powerful woman doesn't? They say she is egotistical, and even her own mother has called her stubborn. Machado has paid no attention to that. She says, our strength is in redemption and unity. This is what makes it so powerful. She believes Gonzalez is a decent and honest man. Machado supports privatizing state-owned energy and building a welfare program to help the country's poorest. And clearly there's some corruption going on in Venezuela. Her head of security was arrested, and 6 members of Machado's team took refuge in Argentina's embassy after prosecutors issued warrants for their arrest. Machado's haters have also accused her of being a fascist who despises the poor, But according to the woman herself, she is a liberal opposed to discrimination. And she says Maduro's government is a criminal mafia. Yeah, they don't like her. And they don't want her to become president because she would promote change. Isn't that just the way for women? Well, I think she would have been a wonderful president for Venezuela. Listeners, you know me. I love taking you around the world. But since we only had 2 stops, I think I'll bring you some recipes from around the globe. That sounds good, yeah? Let's get into it. The first international recipe I have for you is from Venezuela, of course. We can't talk about the country without talking about their food, right? This one, it's called the arepa reina pepiada. In Venezuela, if I'm saying that wrong, please forgive me. This recipe was named in honor of a beautiful young lady who was Miss Universe in 1955. The reina pepiada is called the queen of all arepas. And to make these, you're going to need 1.5 cups of cornmeal, 2 cups of water, 1 avocado, half of a cooked chicken breast, 1 onion, 5 tablespoons of mayonnaise, 2 ounces of cilantro, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 tablespoon of salt, and a ½ teaspoon of pepper. Shred up the chicken and finely chop the onion and cilantro and add diced avocado. In a bowl, you're going to mix all the ingredients, including the mayo, olive oil, salt, and pepper. Cover with plastic wrap and set aside. Then you're going to add the 1.5 cups of cornmeal with 2 cups of water. Stir water and a pinch of salt together in a large bowl. Gradually add the cornmeal, mixing with your fingers to dissolve any lumps, adding enough to make a soft dough that holds its shape without cracking when molded. Next, you're going to divide the dough into 3 pieces. To shape an arepa, roll the dough into a ball and then pat it between your hands into a disc. Press your thumbs around the outside of the disc to form a nice edge. Lightly oil a large iron or grill pan over medium heat and let the skillet get hot before adding the arepa dough. In batches, add the formed arepa disc to the skillet and cook each arepa about 4 to 6 minutes on each side or until they start to get light brown. Once the arepas are ready, let cool for a few minutes before handling. Then carefully slice the arepas, creating a pocket, and fill with the chicken and avocado filling. Serve warm and enjoy your meal. Our next recipe from Venezuela, papitas de leche. They are called the best milk truffles ever. Papitas de leche mean little milk potatoes because they resemble mini peeled potatoes. Here's what you'll need to make these. 2 cups of Nido full cream fortified milk, 1 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk, 1 cup of confectioner's sugar plus 1 tablespoon for dusting, 36 cloves, and an electric standing mixer. In the bowl, combine the Nido full cream fortified milk and the confectioner's sugar. Add the sweetened condensed milk and with the kneading blade, knead it until a firm but malleable dough is formed, and this takes about 5 minutes. Divide the dough in 36 pieces of 20 grams each. With your hands, form the balls and place them on a baking sheet covered with parchment paper. Dust your hands with the remaining confectioner's sugar and cover each ball. Place the balls in the baking sheet and insert a clove on each. Those sound delicious. Our next international recipe, boiled chicken dumplings. Here's what you'll need to make this. 4 dried shiitake mushrooms. If you don't have dried, you can use fresh. 3 scallions, 1 cup of jicama, 1 pound of ground chicken, a ½ cup of olive oil, 1/4 cup of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of sugar, salt, 2 packages of round dumpling wrappers, and rice vinegar. If you don't have fresh mushrooms, here's how to rehydrate them. Place them in a bowl, pour hot water over them to cover, and weigh them down with a saucer or jar to ensure they stay submerged. Leave overnight. The next day, drain the mushrooms and squeeze them to remove the excess water. Finally, chop the mushrooms, scallions, and jicama. Mix the vegetables into the chicken, then add olive oil, soy sauce, sugar, and salt. Mix well to combine. Next, you're going to test the mixture. Boil a small amount of water in a saucepan and use a spoon to scoop out about a teaspoon's worth of the chicken mixture. Place the spoon with mixture into the water and boil for 2 to 3 minutes until it's cooked through. Taste and, if needed, adjust the seasonings. Set up your workspace with a small bowl of water, a tray or sheet pan covered in a kitchen towel, and plenty of paper towels. Fill each dumpling by wetting the edges of the wrapper with water and folding the wrapper in half with some of the filling inside to create a half circle. Pinch the edges firmly to seal. When making dumplings, begin with a small amount of filling so that they're easier to work with, and increase the amount as you get used to the technique. Put the filled dumplings on the cloth-covered tray. To cook the dumplings, bring a large pot of water to a boil and drop a few dumplings into the water. When the dumplings float to the surface, add a cup of cold water to the pot. When the water reaches a boil for a second time, the dumplings should be done. And serve with bowls of vinegar or a mixture of equal parts of rice wine vinegar, soy sauce, and a few drops of sesame oil. I don't know anyone that doesn't like Chinese food. Those sound delicious. I have 2 more recipes for you, and then we can get back to our weekend. Our next recipe is jollof rice, and it comes from Nigeria. My sister makes this all the time. I've never had it, but the next time I'm in Ohio, I'm going to have her make it for me. To make jollof rice, you're going to need 1 large ripe tomato, cored and quartered, 1 large red bell pepper, seeded and roughly chopped, 1 whole habanero pepper, stem removed, 1 whole Fresno chili or a jalapeno pepper, stem removed, 4 cloves of garlic, peeled, 1 tablespoon of minced ginger, and 2 cups of water. For the rice, you'll need 1/3 cup of olive oil, 1 red onion diced, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 cup of tomato paste, 2 tablespoons of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of curry powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of dried thyme, a half teaspoon of fresh ground pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, 2 1/4 cups of basmati rice, a bay leaf, a tablespoon of chicken bouillon paste, 1/4 cup of chopped green onion for garnish, optional, and 1/4 cup of cilantro, also optional. You're going to combine the tomato, red bell pepper, habanero pepper, Fresno chili or jalapeno, garlic, ginger, and water in a blender for the sauce. Blend on high until smooth and set aside. Heat olive oil in a pan over medium heat. Add onion and salt and saute until the onions start to soften. This takes about 4 to 5 minutes. Clear space in the middle of the pan. Add tomato paste and saute for 2 to 3 minutes. Season with paprika, curry powder, cumin, thyme, pepper, and turmeric. Continue cooking for 1 to 2 minutes until everything is well combined. Turn off the heat, stir in the rice, and make sure every grain of rice is coated with the oil tomato mixture. Add the bay leaf and chicken bouillon paste. Turn heat to high, stir in tomato sauce, and bring to a simmer. Cover with a tight-fitting lid and reduce the heat to medium-low, simmering for 20 minutes. Do not remove the lid or stir the rice. After 20 minutes, turn off the heat and set the timer for 12 minutes. Allow the rice to sit and do not remove the lid. After 12 minutes, remove the lid and fluff the rice with a fork, separating all the grains. Serve with garnished green onions and chopped cilantro. And here's a note. If the rice seems to be a little undercooked, stop fluffing. Pat the rice down gently with the back of the fork. Cover tightly again and set the heat to medium-low. Cook for another 5 minutes and check again. Are you hungry yet? I have one more recipe. Just one more. Because this sounds Yummy. This recipe is from Senegal, and this is braised chicken with caramelized onions. Yum, yum, yum. For this recipe, you're going to need chicken legs with the bone in and the skin on, about 2 pounds. A half cup of fresh lemon juice, and that's from about 2 large lemons. A half of a small yellow onion diced. A tablespoon of fresh lime juice. 1 tablespoon of neutral oil, like vegetable or peanut. 1 Scotch bonnet or habanero pepper, but I'm pretty sure you can use a jalapeno in this as well. And 1 tablespoon of kosher salt. For the yassa, you'll need 1 tablespoon of neutral oil, such as vegetable or peanut. 3 medium yellow onions, thinly sliced. 3 cloves of garlic, minced. 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, but this is optional. 3 cups of chicken stock, either homemade or store-bought. 1 whole Scotch bonnet or habanero pepper or a jalapeno. 1 bay leaf, kosher salt, and fresh ground black pepper, and cooked long or medium grain rice, couscous, or fonio. And you'll need lime or lemon wedges for serving. To marinate the chicken, take a large Ziploc bag, toss the chicken together with the lemon juice, diced onion, lime juice, oil, Scotch bonnet pepper, habanero or jalapeno, and salt until well combined. Seal the bag, then marinate in the fridge for at least 8 to 12 hours. For the yassa, remove the chicken from the marinade, scrape off any onions and pepper, and discard the marinade. Using paper towels, blot the chicken dry. In a Dutch oven or pan, heat oil over medium-high heat until shimmering. Add the chicken, skin side down, and cook until well browned, about 6 minutes. Using a thin metal spatula, turn the chicken and cook on the second side until brown, about 5 minutes longer. Remove from heat and transfer the chicken to a platter. Lower the heat to medium, add the sliced onions and cook, stirring frequently until the onions are softened, maybe for about 7 minutes. Continue to cook, stirring and scraping frequently until the onions are dark brown and caramelized, about 15 minutes. Stir in the garlic and mustard and cook until fragrant and slightly softened for about 1 minute. Add the chicken stock, Scotch bonnet pepper, habanero or jalapeno, bay leaf and chicken along with any accumulated juices, nestling chicken pieces into the onions, season lightly with salt and pepper. Bring to a boil over high heat. Reduce the heat to medium-low and cook, gently stirring and scraping the bottom of the pot until the chicken is cooked through and beginning to fall from the bone. This might take about 1 hour. Season with salt if needed and serve with rice, couscous, or fonio, and garnish with the lemon or lime wedges. Now that sounds amazing. I'll be honest with you guys, I have never liked cooking. I love to bake, but if some of you out there make these recipes, be sure to let me know. Well, folks, I brought you a lot of good information on 2 brave women and lots of delicious recipes. And with that, I'm out of time. If you learned anything in today's episode, feel free to follow me. By now you know where. Podbean, Samsung, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and more. For the 45% of women who voted blue in the last presidential election, I implore you, please do not skip this election. This is the biggest, most important election for women in the U.S. The time for standing up for women and supporting women is now. I was listening to D.L. Hughley the other day, and he said a lot of points that I agree with. He said if you can't give any reason as to why Kamala Harris would be a worse president than Donald Trump, if you cannot list anything remotely close to the evil deeds that this man has done, he's not trying to hear you, and neither am I. For the black women who said they're not going to vote for Harris, I agree with Dio when he said you are jealous, and you are. Take it any way you like. And he also said, if you don't believe in dating or marrying black women, but you have something bad to say about Kamala Harris, he's not trying to hear you. And guess what? Neither am I. Sit this one out and get left behind, because the rest of us have a job to do, and we cannot, in his words, afford to tarry. We have a job to do, America, and that is to keep Donald Trump out of that office. And that's all I'm gonna say on that. The weekend is here, you guys, so I want you to be easy, be good to yourselves, and be good to each other. I will be back with more stories, and stay tuned for our latest project coming from 21 Blue Lash. And until then, have the best weekend ever, and as always, God bless.